don't know why I did half the things I've done, but I know this is where I belong.
Welcome everybody to What the Flick. Ben Mankiewicz, Alonso Duralde, Christy Lemire, Matt Atchity. That's the editor-in-chief of Rotten Tomatoes, by the way.
Perhaps you've heard
well
of him.
Well done. But if you Google Matt Atchity, before it comes up as Matt Atchity Rotten Tomatoes, it comes up Matt Atchity gay, which is cool. Whatever.
That's fine. I will not address those rumors at this time.
I take full responsibility.
That's going to make it worse.
Some interesting movies, 3 movies we're going to talk about, including 2 very similar films, Man on a Ledge, and we need to talk about Kevin. Indistinguishable, really. It's always just like Dante's Peak and what was the other one called?
Volcano.
Right, Volcano. Okay, so but let's start with the other one. Let's start with The Gray. Christy, you want to? Oh, sorry, Matt.
I'll talk about The Gray. The Gray. We've seen Liam Neeson go up against Nazis. We've seen him go up against kidnappers. This time, Liam Neeson versus the wolves.
I take Liam Neeson in that one.
Look out, wolves.
He's a man with a very specific set of skills.
Don't do that head between your knees shit if this fucking goes down.
Shut the fuck up! Shut up! Oh my God, that guy's cutting out! Don't look down! Look at me! Look at me!
2 days, 3 maybe, if we really pull our shit together.
Why are you constantly bitching about everything?
Because I want to live, motherfucker.
Everybody be cool.
So last winter it was with January Jones, Liam Neeson in Unknown, and then 2 winters ago he was rescuing his daughter, a girl from Lost, and because she done got taken, and now
all those Nazis he fought,
and all those this new thing is these winter releases where movies used to go to die. Sort of, you get Liam Neeson, and he does these, and they're pretty good.
He somehow became the new Chuck Norris.
Right.
You know,
he's the Will Smith of January.
I guess so. Somebody's got to own it. I almost wonder though if The Gray would not have been promoted the way that it's being promoted had Unknown and Taken not already happened. Because if you're going into this expecting another like Liam Neeson kicks everyone's ass movie, it's not quite that. It's a little darker than that. It's got more character stuff going on. It's more brooding almost. So
existential, if you will.
Thank you. Yes. So if you go in expecting Taken with wolves, you're not quite going to get that.
As opposed to dances.
Exactly.
but there was badassery.
No, which is not to say that it's not exciting and it's action packed and there's a lot of survival against the It's basically a slasher movie where Jason is Mother Nature.
Okay. I think it's an art house thriller.
Yes.
I think it's more of an existential drama than its aesthetic packaging would suggest.
And I know that people are going to think I'm an idiot for saying this. They already think I'm an idiot. But it made me think of Hemingway in a weird sort of way. Like I felt like this could be a Hemingway story.
Well, it's Jack London, certainly. Jack London inspired.
Yeah, no, I really like this movie.
And when I say it's like a slasher movie, I don't mean in the bad way. I just mean in terms of the structure of you have these characters and they get picked off one by either the snow or the wolves or the something.
Ernest Hemingway? Because I was thinking Muriel Hemingway. That's what when I was watching. I thought that you talked about the existentialism. I thought the subtlety happening of the, these guys, first of all, they're in a plane crash and there's 7 of them who survive the plane crash in the wilderness and the wolves are around. That's the sort of basic premise. And
they're bad guys. They're all like rejects and criminals.
They're all the guys. They're
roughnecks.
They're roughnecks, exactly. So this idea of, how can they keep fighting to survive when we don't know if ultimately there's any point to it because maybe they're never going to get found. Like that existential stuff, that bored me. That was the weakest part of the movie.
I loved it.
I loved it. I loved that it
was hokey,
based on the poetry from his father. And I mean, okay, it is kind of hokey. It totally worked for me. Like that there's just enough depth to Neeson's character that he's quoting the poem that his father wrote. And talks about his relationship with his father and the repeating of live and die on this day and the narration, which can be tough to do, the narration from the letter that he's carrying around with, I liked all that. The movie really worked for me and I found it was really true to his character.
I liked also, I'm sorry, that they have to stop at some point for the night to make a fire and try to sleep or whatever. And they take those moments to let us get to know these people. And I love that it's Joe Carnahan directed it and co-wrote it. This is much better than Smokin' Aces. This is really good.
I think it's the best thing he's done.
I like Narc a lot, also.
I do too.
But I like that they take the time and the care. That's true.
I thought it was fun. Yeah.
They take the time and the care to let us get to know them a little more than you might in a slasher flick or in a dopey action movie. The scene where I'm not going to give it away who it is, but one person decides I can't go on anymore. And he just gives up. He just says, like, I'm ready to die. And they introduce themselves to each other by their first names for the first time. That was riveting. Yeah. It is so poignant and it's so subtle the way it's done.
But then there's also a movie, there's also that moment where they completely throw physics out of the window and they perform a feat that is like, wait, what? Because the rest of the movie has been so realistic and so much about like cobbling together survival with the things they got from the airplane and stuff that made sense. And then suddenly they're Superman. Like, how the heck did they get from?
Can you give us a hint to what you're talking about?
It involves getting from a point A to a point B.
The cliff scene.
Oh, yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I didn't have that much of a problem with that. I felt like at this point, if these guys have survived the plane crash, the cliff scene is a drop in the bucket.
They also did by taking care of one of them in that scene to show you that it was
right, but just how the first person got across. Suddenly,
I didn't understand how the first.
It felt like wait, and it all kind of happens off camera because like even the movie acknowledges like we don't know how this is going to happen. It just needs to happen, so we're going to do it.
I must have tuned out because I clearly missed some critical point. I'm like, how do you get over there? What was I thought?
We don't know.
All of a sudden he's like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I just thought that I thought there was great depth to Neeson's character. I thought during some of those conversations with you guys bought into so much, I had a few eye-rolling moments during those conversations.
I'm sort of between you guys on the backup, the character background stuff.
I just didn't think it was the strongest part of the movie in any way, and I thought a movie called The Grey, and we know the wolves. I thought, what happened to the wolves? I mean, like, there's that great moment you saw in the trailer with the wolf's eyes, which is a great moment when you realize they're surrounded. And then it was just a bunch of animals that sort of recklessly chased them. Sometimes they seem to just outrun them inexplicably. The woods are really far away. And then for a long period of time when they just start yapping at each other sort of endlessly, telegraphing their deaths, I'm like, this movie needed more wolves.
You wanted
You wanted more wolf punching.
I wanted more wolves eating them. Like a bunch of the guys didn't even die from the wolves, which I think is a bit of a letdown.
Although I will say that the wolves are more believable than Jacob in the Twilight movies.
And they're a damn sight more dangerous than the goddamn Benetton.
This is the bar that we set.
Yes, I wasn't laughing out loud. The wolves weren't talking to each other in English.
Right, and they don't look like Benetton models.
And no shirts come off,
No wolves were harmed in the making of this movie. Animatronic wolves.
And they really telegraphed a couple of the other guys' deaths. I thought. But it just,
I was okay with it.
I was okay with it. I actually was.
But I liked it.
I love this movie. I was really blown. I went into it thinking, jaded January release, and came out of it really super excited.
But here's how much Neeson has changed things. I went into it thinking, January, it's Liam Neeson. Because I love Taken, and I liked Unknown better than Taken. I liked it a lot. All right, what did you give it?
I give it a 9. Yeah. I'm really bullish on this movie.
I think I gave it an 8.4, but I don't remember.
You did?
8.4?
8.4?
Cool.
A 7.7.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.3. It's good. Yeah. It's good.
How's it doing tomato-ish?
It's about 75% at the moment.
Yeah, I actually looked. It's above that. I think it's 78.
Oh, it's back up.
Yeah, okay. 78. So anyway, definitely worth seeing. Yeah.